According to the National Center of Biotechnology Information, a 36-year-old woman was waiting for her child at the bus stop to come home from school. When they got home, she made her dinner, they did a card game, helped her with homework, and went to bed just like usual. The mom woke up at 6 in the morning to smell something that was a little bit different, but she wasn't feared by the smell, so she just went outside. What she saw was her 8-year-old daughter on the ground screaming, "Mom," rolling over, her 12-year-old daughter profusely throwing up in the toilet, and her 2-month-old daughter in a carriage passed out with her eyes in the back of her head. Now, she was flipping out, so she called 911, and what happened was the operator at 911 asked, "Hey, what happened?" And she said, "You know what? I don't know." I will finish this story later, but as of now, we'll be talking about the chemical element mercury. Just like any other element, mercury is dangerous and beneficial at the same time. Sometimes you have to compromise for the benefits to then possibly have danger that comes with that. Today, I plan to talk about the process of how mercury is in everyday activities or errands, how mercury can be found in household items that aren't dangerous but could be dangerous, and the effects of high dosage of mercury or even mercury poisoning. My first point is mercury is found in everyday items, including household things. A barometer and this thing called a thermometer. These things are used in everyday things, whether you want to see how warm it is outside or even like your temperature of your body. These things are not harmful unless it's broken, which would allow the mercury to go into the air and cause people to breathe in this air that is mixed with mercury, which is very dangerous. Per the University of Vermont, they are not harmless unless broken, so be very careful to not break them and dispose of them properly. Also, per the University of Vermont, mercury can also be found in neon lamps, fluorescent lights, and LCD lights. These are newer types of lights, but are still found to have mercury in them. So be very careful throwing these things away, because these are the most dangerous things that need to be properly disposed of, or else if it is thrown into a trash can broken, it can immerse into the air, and anyone walking by that trash can could breathe it in and not know why, that their lungs collapse or other things possibly happen to them in their health. In addition, with fish being eaten, what happens is mercury is rose from the Earth's crust and then into the air, which then little droplets of the mercury drop down into the ocean and attach themselves to the fish. When a fish is eaten with mercury, that becomes methylmercury. And almost every fish in the entire world has a little bit of methylmercury. It just depends on the rate of how much is in it. Now, EPA says that the high toxins that build up in this fish in certain areas can kill somebody. So you really have to be aware of where you're getting your fish and how it is being eaten. Also, like I said previously, the EPA has said that every single fish has some part of methylmercury. It's just going to happen, especially in volcanic areas or places where the Earth's crust is open. So you just have to be aware. And this is a thing that we have, luckily, that we live in the United States, that processing plants are able to take out this methylmercury and make sure that the fish that are highly contaminated with methylmercury are thrown away, because we have the means to do that. However, in poorer countries, they may not have these processing plants, which means these people are eating contaminated fish and they don't even know it, and then are having mental, neurological problems and health problems, and they don't understand why it's happening. My second main point is that this can happen in everyday activities or errands. For a fact, if you're going fishing, a lot of ponds and lakes even have this. So if you're going fishing with your buddies, you really have to be aware of your surroundings and the different charts of methylmercury in different areas. Per the EPA, again, some communities rely on fish more, which means places are overfished. And the graphs show that a lot of places that are overfished contain the most methylmercury. So if you're going to a place like Taiwan or Japan, where their number one means of meat is from fish, you really have to be aware where you're fishing, or else this contamination can really get to you. According to a case study on large bass in the United States, if you are at a lake or a pond, the seasonal times actually really affect the area of what you are fishing. So in the spring, for example, in West Virginia, on a case study, a lake in West Virginia is not allowed to be fished because from the mountains in the Earth's crust, the methyl mercury comes down at a rate that's very alarming, and they don't want any of their locals to be contaminated with the mercury. In addition, going to the dentist. Everyone goes to the dentist. It's just the thing. When you have a cavity, they do this thing called a silver filling, which is an amalgam, which is, like I said, a silver filling. However, this contains mercury. A lot of the higher priced amalgams do not, but the lowest prices do. And this is a problem because who doesn't want the best deal? If it's the cheapest, everyone's gonna go for it. And a lot of dentists don't understand that mercury is in their amalgams, and they'll give that to the family as their best choice scenario. So really have that talk with your dentist before you put that in your mouth, because if it's in your mouth, then you breathe it. And then if you breathe it, the vapors go into your lungs and your health will be very deteriorated from it. My third main point is mercury poisoning. It can reach harmful risks, and you really need to know about the symptoms of mercury poisoning so that you don't infect others and that you can take care of yourself in general. According to the Agency of Toxic Substances, mercury symptoms include irritability, pain, depression is one of the biggest things, memory problem, change in vision, hearing different things, and then most of all, they call it a drunkenness, which means if you obtain alcohol in your system and you're drunk, it is basically like feeling that as though you haven't taken an ounce of liquor into your body. Your family could breathe in vapor of this toxin, so you really need to be careful about where you are in certain areas that may also have mercury just in the air. In Mamata Bay, which is in the Philippines, in 1956, these type of fish, piranhas, and other fish that were eaten had been contained with methyl mercury to a point where no one should have consumed it. But since it was a small fishing village, no one knew about it, and it created a lot of neurological problems for everyone in that village, and a lot of health problems that even passed through birth. So the next kid possibly could obtain that. In conclusion, mercury is very dangerous and is not to be taken lightly. I alluded to the story in the beginning, and what happened was that daughter brought home liquid mercury, and it mixed with stove gas and ended up creating an aroma in the air to where they breathed it all in and contained mercury poisoning. And the little 2-month-old daughter happened to die, unfortunately. So what I want you to take from this is mercury is needed, but really understand that you need to be cautious when you're doing it.